told me his personal story, dealing with congestive heart failure in his 30s, I believe, had to lose over 100 pounds to get himself back into health, right? So he's got a journey. But his journey also included going to medical school. His journey also included making the decision to become an OB-GYN, delivering babies all across the Chicagoland area for over 30 years.
All right.
And we are just so honored to be in his presence. He's going to come up here and bring the knowledge. This is the man you've been waiting for. So without any further ado, Dr. Joseph Thomas, MD, take it away.
But I first have to ask, and thank you for the introduction. I need permission from the elders to speak the truth today.
Speak the truth.
Speak the truth.
Because I decided this year that regardless of perceived, imagined, and real pressure to conform, that I would only speak the truth. So I asked permission, and now that I have that permission, I hope you don't get too much into your emotions, because I'm going to say some things that might rattle you a little, but it's based on documented evidence, scientific truth. And if you hear something that has evidence and it goes against what you feel, you might need to reconsider what you feel.
That's right.
So the first thing I'm going to say is that when you talk about the heart, that should be your main concern, second to your brain health. But if you don't have heart health, you're not going to have brain health. Now, the reason I say you're going to kind of feel out of sorts, because your concept of health has been contaminated with things that are not true. So I'm going to give you a real working definition. Your health is the result of your body daily healing itself, daily repair, daily regeneration. And if that's not happening, because you're not getting sleep, because you're eating the wrong food, because you're drinking too much alcohol, because there's toxins in the food you choose to eat, and several other things, they call it lifestyle things, we now know without a doubt that that affects the lining of your blood vessels. If your blood vessels are affected, then you don't have good blood flow. Somebody here tell me, if you don't have good blood flow to the brain, what happens?
Stroke.
And as you saw that young man, he just fell backwards out. If you get a blood clot that blocks blood to, let's say, an organ, somebody already said a stroke. If the blood vessels are clogged going to the heart, what do we call that?
Heart attack.
Heart attack. So let me explain something to you, because this is very deep, near and dear to my heart. Because I said last time, I'm a black man. As a young black man, I was hard-hit. I thought working all the time, not getting sleep, that's what OB-GYN doctors do. And I kind of sort of didn't notice that when I was in med school at 135, and then when I finished, I was 175. 5 years after do residency, I was 225. And then 7 years in practice, I was 295. I'm okay, I feel okay. Then I had my 3-year-old son, I was carrying him up the stairs as I usually did. Got halfway up, I got short of breath. I said, oh my God, I'm all out of breath. My ankles were swollen. I said, I don't have to go get any tests. That's heart failure, folks. And a little later, but before, it's foggy, I had a car accident, hurt my knee, had a cast on, and I'm on two crutches, and I got on the scale, and something told me push up. So when I pushed up, I weighed 100 pounds less, and my knee didn't hurt.
Wow.
I started complaining to God. I said, you didn't have to tell me this way. That's mean. That I need to lose 100 pounds.
That's
And then he reminded me, he said, your mom's been telling me that for 5 years. The scale's been telling you that for 5 years. So sometimes we need a bigger voice. So sometimes there's a voice coming from the wilderness that says, You need to listen. You need to listen. Because African Americans in general, they living in a danger zone.
Mm-hmm.
You don't understand it, but I'm trying to tell you.
Tell them.
Today, you're living in the danger zone. Part of it is, and this is my opinion, you do not have to agree with me. I say, prove me right or prove me wrong. Don't accept what I'm saying is true. I can tell you all these credentials and all that stuff. My son says, Dad, you got too many initials behind your name. What is the problem? I'm just gonna tell you like it is. The one who made people put all the people of color living between the 33rd parallel, north and south. That's like the top of Florida, San Diego. There was no indigenous black people over a long period of time north of there because you need enough sun to make vitamin D.
Mm-hmm.
Don't argue with me. That's the one who made it. So when you're here, if you're not taking vitamin D every day, you just want to die early. It's that simple. So I tell my wife, I said, well, why are we still living here in Chicago? We should move further south. You know, once the kids in school, now the kids in high school, or the kids, hold it. We see the grandkids on, what do you call it? Facebook,
Right.
more than we do in person. We don't have to be here. But back to the danger zone, I am convinced. First, I thought, oh, look what I found out. All new information takes about 10 years to filter down.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you know, hold it. That was 2008. Yeah. So a few years ago, I decided it's not an accident. They could tell Black people as a group, you're so vitamin deficient, that accounts for 90% of what they say is healthcare, health disparities. They don't tell it. My buddies who I play golf with, Black doctors, argue with me. They say, well, if we had, if that was true, then we would have heard that when we was at Rush, or U of I. Well, I went to Stanford, or, you know, they say the university. I can decode that stuff. The decoded version is, we would have heard it from a white person. And that's the decoded.
That's right.
We know you. How do you know more than us? That's the ego blocking information.
Right.
So the thing that might hurt your feelings is you have cognitive dissonance. When you hear things that don't agree with your gut, you'll ignore the truth just to stay comfortable with what you believe.
That's right.
So I'm here to tell you, because I do this other part of the talk on Sunday. Everything you've been taught, I know you ain't gonna believe that everything word, but everything you've been taught is wrong. There's nothing that you've been taught is absolutely correct. It might have been part of the truth at that time. But we're at a time where everything has changed. You might not know it, but last year they made matter, physicists, matter out of light. So all that disagreement with the Bible is gone. They know that you can make matter out of light. And if a man can do it, what about the creator? 2 months ago, they did cold fusion. Energy in to hydrogen, energy release. More energy is released than put in. That means free electricity from now on. The small version they can put in a car, the energy source will last 300 years. Are they going to release it? Are you going to find out about it? So my statement to you is, unless you dedicate yourself to becoming a revolutionary, then you're still on the plantation. If you're going to get free, I'm talking about health freedom, folks. They're endeavoring as part of this business to lead you to the door to learn about your health freedom. But when you get to the door, sometimes, well, I don't know if I want to go through that door. You need to step through and dedicate yourself to being a better version of you. How long will it take? In case you don't know, your physical body is not what you think. With my patients, I single somebody out, which I'm not going to do today, and say, well, how old do you think you are? And they'll give me the government aid, driver's license. And I tell them, okay, show me something you got that's over. Cells that line your stomach, the ones that make acid, they're renewed every 3 days. Your intestinal lining, every 5 to 7 days, the active cells. Your liver, your other organs, less than 10 years. Mostly women here, you guys have something that's been there since 9 months, 8 months before, older than you are. And that's the, what? The eggs in your ovaries were there when you was a fetus. You do not get new eggs. All your other organs change. You say that's not fair. I know, because men get new sperm every 3 months. So you don't like that, you take it up with the science. So when it comes to your heart, all the stuff they told you is wrong. They told you high cholesterol causes heart disease. Everybody believed that. Until you do the research and find out the Eskimos had cholesterol of 300, 350 with no heart disease. Here's what they forgot to tell you. They didn't forget. It's damaged cholesterol. What do I mean by damage? Granny would fry some food for 15 minutes, put the oil to the side, use it 8 more times, that's 2 hours, throw it away. Across the street, all these fried food places, 18 hours, oh, there's 24. 18 hours a day to grease his oil. In the first week, let's say 10 days, that's 180 hours. Granny's oil was 2 hours. At the end of 2 or 3 months, that's 900 hours. It's the damaged cholesterol that damages every cell in your body, but they won't tell you the truth because then they'd have to say, don't eat fried food. Well, we can't mess with revenue or the business sector. So business and the government combine together and create mass media and marketing, which trains you to accept things that are not true. It lowers you from your natural state, which is a creature made by God, to a state that's been influenced by man's ways. I'm gonna leave it like that. So when it comes to your heart, what I've learned is it blows me away. Today, the little capillaries in your body, 60,000 miles of tiny capillaries. 30 could be inside, you can get 30 in one strand of hair. That's how tiny they are. If you line them up end to end, they go around the earth 2.5 times. You can't believe it. Your mind isn't capable of understanding all of the works of the one who made people. The one who made it. Have anybody here scraped their hand or did something and then you had to instruct your body how to heal itself, or did it do it itself? How did it know?
The Lord.
So you have evidence that a higher power is with you always.
Always.
Oh, you thought that higher power went somewhere and gonna come back? You believe that? You believe that? Hold it. How many people believe the doctor heals you? Oh, you believe that?
No.
You don't understand. You don't understand. There is one that does a healing. And she's hiding behind the TV. But she said, say it again.
Inner doctor.
You better recognize it. So after you understand that, that's the basics. Somewhere it says, the life of the flesh is in the blood. Anybody heard that before?
Absolutely.
So I'm not making that up.
No.
Well, how did the stuff get in the blood? Isn't it what you eat? Yeah, that's what you eat. It's also when you exercise. The body releases protein when you exercise. That goes to your brain to keep it making new and fresh connections. What about when you're in the sun? The body makes vitamin D that gets into your blood, that travels through your whole body. What about the infrared from the sun? That's what heats you up. So it's more than just what you eat. It's a lot of other things, but once it's in the blood, now you got something to work with. Abundant life, the life of the flesh in the blood. That's number 2. Number 3, everybody here probably knows somewhere diabetic had to have a foot or toe or something cut off because they got bad blood flow. That means you can eat the right thing, but without the good blood flow, the good thing ain't getting to where it needs to go. So now I'm back to that thing called the glycocalyx, the lining of the blood vessels. When that's damaged, that is responsible for everything you thought was old age. The best way I could explain it a little clearer is, if you are living in a house, you could have a leak in the foundation and not know it. So if I came over and you telling me about you want a jacuzzi, getting a new kitchen, all that stuff, I say, yeah, come on with me to the basement first. I look in the basement, you got cracks in the basement. They might have to demolish this house. Your foundation is so messed up.
Right.
So I'm telling you, they're not checking your foundation. You have to check the foundation. So they try to check the foundation. They'll say, well, let's do a scan and see what's going on. Here. When you go to the doctor, they don't check the foundation. But if you look at what you do, what you eat, what you don't eat, et cetera, they're not checking the foundation. Top Gun, where he's singing in the danger zone.
Oh, yeah.
Because it'll stick in that you don't want to live in the danger zone. And you say, well, what can I do? A lot. I looked at a study 2 days ago. I was trying to prepare and say, well, what can we do to reduce heart disease? Well, if you look, eating vegetables reduces your risk of all-cause mortality 56%.
Whoa.
Add fruit to it, or eat mostly fruit and some vegetables, that's not as good as just vegetables. But it still lowers it. Compared to meat, increases your risk 100%.
Wow.
2 times. I'm not saying don't ever eat any meat, but when I was growing up, and some of you guys grew up, you had meat every day.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you have for lunch? High school, hamburger. Come home, what did mom have? Some kind of meat. And then even the vegetarians, they're singing the song. I'm like, don't sing that song like you really know what you're talking about. I said, because show me the study that shows vegetarians live longer than people who
Right.
who eat just a little bit of meat but have the same lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
The Mormons live long. Let me go back. Med school, we have a thing called anatomy lab. That's where we had cadavers. They had a baby 6-month-old killed in a car accident. The carotids were open, so we could see. The baby had plaque already.
Oh my goodness.
Back then, if you didn't breastfeed, what did you get a baby?
Similar.
Similac, carnation milk,
Bill.
mixing K-Ro syrup.
Yeah. That's right.
Some pet. Oh, you gave stuff to
Some
block the
pet milk,
arteries.
yeah.
You're living in the danger zone. It's just a time when will it build up? It's a fact. African Americans have plaque, but it's unstable plaque. So it breaks off. When it breaks off, it flows to the smallest vessel. If that's the smallest vessel in the lungs, you're gonna have lung problems. If it's a small vessel in the heart, you're gonna have a heart attack. If it's the smallest vessel in the brain, you'll have a stroke. So if you want to improve that, you need to change your diet. Get away from fried food, eat more of a plant-based diet. And they have, okay, I'm missing my words. They have people here that can help you. What do you call them?
Coaching.
Health
Coaches.
Wellness. Wellness.
that can help you and try to guide you. Granny and mom didn't tell you to do stuff on purpose that would injure you.
Yeah.
They didn't know better.
They didn't know that.
You live at a time where you should know better.
Right.
You should seek the knowledge.
Yeah.
So it's hard to express it any clearer than this. There's somewhere in that book that says, ask,
And you
you should find.
and it shall be given, ask and it shall be given. See, and you shall find, knock and the door will be open. Seek and you shall find, knock and the door will be open. Yeah.
Think of the first letter in those 3 verses. Ask, seek, knock. What does that spell? A-S-K.
Ask.
Could that be any clearer?
Nothing. Ask.
Do you think that's an accident?
Nope.
He's trying to tell you something, folks. You better ask the one who knows.
Mm.
And you know the joke. If you don't know, you better ask somebody.
Yes.
I'm just suggesting that you ask the one who actually knows. And if
That's
you
right.
ask somebody that don't know, you just end up being more confused.
Yeah.